Ah. Okay. One, two. Whoa. Woo.
Hello, my name is Sascha Beselt. I'm a solo mountain bike adventurer from Germany. In the past, I've done trips like Annapurna in winter, up to over 5,400 meters alone by myself. I crossed Andalusia in summer, east to west, 1,100 kilometers in 10 or 11 days. I crossed most European mountain ranges like the Alps several times, Pyrenees, Abruzzi, Tatars, the Vosges. I crossed part of Norway, Slovenia, and countries that are neighboring Germany like Belgium, Luxembourg. And last year my mother died. She always had the wish to come to the Himalayas, but never made it. And my idea was to, say farewell to her here in Nepal, and that's why I started thinking about another trip to this country. And a friend of mine in Germany, who is a Nepalese himself, we decided on Mera Peak, which is not only a very high mountain but also one with which I would personally describe as a real mountain which you have to climb and which you can't just trek. So the whole journey had to be planned as some kind of, I wouldn't say expedition, but you had to care for a lot of things, especially clothes, and that's why I needed help, especially in carrying. And our choice was the company of the good people of United Brothers Trekking Expedition. And so at the beginning of October 2021, and we started our journey in Pablo. We drove to Pablo by jeep, started there, left the bikers there, and villages which I passed on this trip were Ringmo, Diorali, Karikola, Pangom, Chatrakola, Kote, Tangnat, up to Kare, and then of course the summit. So I was asked to do this interview now after my successful summit to Mera Peak by mountain bike or with a mountain bike. And one of the questions that I get asked is what I think about Nepal. So this is for me not an easy question, although it sounds so simple. First of all, I think the people here are very, very welcoming and outdo themselves for tourists, up to a point at which I could feel ashamed, So for me as a tourist, service-wise, I have to say it's great. As a human being, maybe I can't think of it as being good. But this is, these are two poles I'm torn between. If you travel in Nepal, certain things are different than in Europe, of course. Not only cultural things, but also aspects regarding food, especially food and hygienic conditions. So you have to adapt to it. For me as a meat eater, it's always a change to go totally vegetarian here, but I can only say everything I ate here is fine. It's healthy, and as I said, people are outdoing themselves to please tourists. Then of course there is the poverty. when you come to a third world country, you cannot overlook it. Looking out of that window here, I see it, you know, every angle of my eye. So this is, you know, these are two poles. On the one hand, you get a lot for your money here. On the other hand, you also bring wishes to poor people. And I asked myself, and I asked myself on this in the last trip here, if this is good or not. But I'm here for sports, and for a personal reason, to have brought my mother, to put a farewell, a keepsake for her on that mountain. So all I can tell you is, Nepal, for me, did very well. It was kind to me. The 2 times that I have been here, it was kind to me. My guides were great. But nevertheless, I can't drive 12 hours per G without witnessing too much poverty, which should shame people in the rest of the world. Coming to a second question I get asked which is how I feel after this successful summit of over 6,000 meters. After the summit, I feel very well. But as you can see, I don't look like in Germany. Behind me lie 4 weeks of exhaustion every day, up to a point where I thought it was life risky. For example, I almost slipped off a waterfall on the rocks. I could have fallen into the abyss like 300 meters or 200. It was very high. It was a really, really tight situation. Then in this season we have a lot of snowfall here. At least this is what I got told. A lot of snow. Aggressive blizzards are nothing I could feel comfortable with. Especially if things happen like in this season and out of tragic circumstances other people die at that mountain. I have to be realistic and honest to you. A mountain which is like 6,460 or 70 meters high is still 2 kilometers higher than the Matterhorn in Europe, and it's 1.5 kilometers higher than the Mont Blanc. So whoever tells you this is an easy mountain, this is bullshit. I'm honest with you. This for me it's a very hard struggle. I often doubted that I would make it, but we did. Especially in the jungle, not only the summit, in the jungle it was very hard for me. Many days of steepest climbing and carrying the bike. We had to disassemble it because the paths were too narrow to have it assembled on the back. We sometimes even had to change parts of it to get through. Then I remember the bamboo sticks being in the way everywhere. So these are, things you have to watch out for. If you fall, it could be your last fall. So jungle, ice. Then of course there was the rest of the monsoon time, which for me was hard test, because I was wet every day, and in the night it got cold, because it was not only cold but also humid. So all in all, this was by far the hardest struggle I had with my mountain bike in my life, and I say this with the experience of Torangla Pass in winter, not summer, winter alone on over 5,400 meters. I say this with the experience of Andalusia in summer with temperatures like 40 degrees every day Celsius. I say this with having crossed the Pyrenees, where I slipped through the ice, where I had to cross steep snow fields with 20 kilogram on my back plus a 15 kilo mountain bike, and what else. So for me this was by far the hardest thing. I know that when I get home I will have a lot of impressive pictures on my SD cards. I'm looking forward to those. I'm also looking forward to the lectures that I'm about to give in Germany for a company called Globetrotter. There are several dates now that I'm expecting all across Germany. So at the moment I feel very well. I have survived it, even though I got a cold. I didn't mention this so far. I got a cold and did all the summiting with this cold. I slept in high camp 3 nights, for example. So this was, I can only speak of total physical exhaustion, completely destroying. It was definitely life risky for me. So there's so much for the second question. It was the hardest thing ever, but now I'm happy to have made it. The third question is about my experience of solo trekking or solo traveling, where I see differences in solo trekking or trekking with the guys of United Brothers Trekking Exhibition, of course, expedition. Of course, this is it's so far different that if you have company, you always have a bit more safety. So somebody watches over you, maybe also tells you which way to go. This I don't have when I'm traveling alone. On the other hand, of course, if I travel alone, my tempo is always only set by myself. So when you travel with other people, even if these people are guides, you have different opinions about how far or how fast you should go on. This you have to calculate by yourself to your personal advantage or disadvantage. For me, it's obviously clear that this journey now would have not been possible alone. So it wouldn't have been possible to carry the things I had to carry, and in the jungle, especially in the jungle, I had to have people who knew the new tracks. The tracks are said to be new, and for me, I have to say the tracks were more like little paths, and paths in this kind of size, where you can barely see them sometimes, are a dangerous thing. So all I can say is, for now, for this project, I needed that help, and the guys did it very well. Coming to the fourth of 5 questions. If I'm excited for my next trek, about my plans. Well, talking about my plans is, something very special for me, because I don't want to tell the world what my next ideas are, but I will give you some insights in my plans are. Soon something will change in my life, which is the place of living. It will be probably on a completely different side of Germany. I will also have a new job, and that means I will probably also not have as much time for trips of this kind next year, because I have to prove myself first in my new job. When my mother died last year, I was just about to leave to a newly designed route which I had planned for many weeks, which was crossing Finland through its eastern part of Karelia, or including Karelia. And this will be a trip which I will do next whenever time comes up for it. So crossing Karelia, hopefully seeing some bears and photographing them, but of course being able to ride everything, cycle every meter of it without carrying, is something I am looking forward to. And another plan I have is crossing a certain mountain range of this earth, which to my knowledge, to my research, hasn't been crossed so far. That's why I will not name it, but it's also an Asian country, and these are my three plans at the moment, but we will see how many of these I can realize. I think Finland will be first, but who knows. Coming to the last question, my review about United Brothers Trek and Exhibition, the company, and how I feel about people and their services. Yeah, as I mentioned before, they did their best. I had the luck to have the experience with me of ascents on very big mountains like Everest many times. So I always felt safe enough, maybe except for a certain situation in a blizzard, in which the guys themselves kept cool. So maybe this is something which it's just not a problem for them. For me, it was I feared for my life. The guys were there for me all around the clock, from the early morning to the late evening. Brought everything I asked for. Helped me simply with everything, with carrying, of course, the equipment which was badly needed, and but also and most importantly, they are very nice guys. So I can say my impression is that we had a great team, great time, even though it was so hard, and we laughed a lot together. I think these guys are more like friends than just a service company. At least this is what I can tell you. So coming down from Mera Peak at 6,461 meters, I have to say, even though my journey was planned very in a rush, had to be planned in a rush, and though it was very expensive, it was successful, impressive for a lifetime, both in beautiful and horrifying situations. So I will have a lot of memories, and probably most of them will arise when I'm back home. So from my side, I can tell you, I can recommend United Brothers like no other company. And as for the terrain itself, Nepal, you will have to decide for yourself. Probably you will have to adapt to some things when you come here first time, just like I had in 2018. It's not Europe, it's not the Western world, but these guys do their best to make you feel comfortably from the very first minute on. So many greets from me, Sascha Beselt, to whoever watches this. Take care and have fun in the Himalayas.